a Libra wants everything to be balanced, right? So they're kind of indecisive. It's like they see all points of view. They see nuance like nobody else does, you know? And so they've got all these points of view. They see all the nuance in themselves. And so they're constantly pointing to themselves and going like, well, am I an extrovert or am I an introvert? You know, do I like the outdoors or do I like the indoors? And they see reasons why they like all of those things. Okay. And every human likes all of those things to some extent, right? But a Libra is constantly, again, they're an air sign. They're in their head, they're mental about it. And so they're constantly thinking, well, who am I really? I don't even know who the heck I am.
This season on the Living Out Love podcast, we are focusing on you, who you are, what motivates you, what you're here to contribute, and how you can expand. We'll be utilizing my leadership skills and spiritual connection, diving deep into the Enneagram and astrology. Listen every week to become intimately aware of yourself. Only then can you heal and grow. Let's get to work, loves. Hello, loves. Welcome to Libra season. We're recording this 10 days before it's going to start. So it's going to air Saturday, the 21st. I need to do a quick check-in. I'm curious how you're doing. How are you doing before we start the conversation?
Oh gosh,
we jumped on this. How are you?
I'm good. Although I was thinking, I actually was getting into a big Facebook political debate with people. And I was thinking, oh gosh, this is really pointing out my like Aries South node, where I need to head to with Libra. So that's going to maybe some of the tension I'm feeling from that might help guide me to where I need to be, you know?
Yeah. Oh, that's so funny. So I was just eating lunch, and normally while I eat lunch, I watch TV, and I was watching a particularly intense episode of This Is Us, and I've just been crying.
So we're both emotional.
Yeah, so we're both emotional. So it's funny, and I was thinking about how I should have looked up my transits to see if something's going on that's highlighting my Cancer energy or something, but I'm excited to talk about Libra. One of the things I remember from our last conversation was that we were talking about how the first 6 signs are all on the evolution of the individual. And so now Libra's bringing us outside of the individual. And I have to say, I'm a little nervous about it.
Really?
Yeah, I feel a little bit uncomfortable.
Interesting. Is it?
Yeah.
It's
because not the
you have
Libra itself. It's just that like, we're going out of the personal into the other people.
Oh, it's like something different.
The other people seems scarier than the personal. Which maybe that's because most of I don't know. No, I have a lot. And anyway.
I mean, I would agree with you personally as an introvert. I would agree with you.
Okay, so maybe it's the introverted thing. I was a little bit like, oh crap. How do we do this?
You and I are really good at working on ourselves. So that whole bottom part of the chart, where you're always working on yourself, trying to make yourself better. But the ultimate goal to do that is really so that you can actually get into society and work with other people. So it's an entirely new frontier.
Yeah. Well, so do you want to start just by talking about Libra, or do you want to remind us how we got to here? Where do you want to go?
Sure. Let's do a little bit of both. Yeah. I mean, Libra is known as the peacemaker. It is the artist. It is, the lover. A lot of times people will say, it is a cardinal air sign. So cardinal, meaning that it starts the season. Okay. So this is where we're actually going to start fall. People feel like when we're in Virgo season, people tend to feel like we're already in fall. We're not technically.
Right.
The first day of Libra season is actually the first day of official fall, which I know everybody loves. And it's that light and dark, even if you're on, in the Southern hemisphere and it's, the first day of spring as instead of the first day of fall, it's the balance of light and dark is what it is, which is so lovely. It's because Libra is the scales, it's the balancing. And that, that's really where that comes from. We have the same amount of light of daylight and the same amount of dark, which is beautiful. It's let's see what else. What are the other basics about Libra? Oh, air. It's an air sign. So like Gemini that we've already talked about. That's an air sign, and Aquarius that we haven't quite gotten to yet. And air signs are very mental. They are all in their head, and they are, just sometimes a little bit detached, sometimes a little bit edgy, sometimes a little bit just, yeah, unemotional, which I don't think is necessarily obvious with Libra. I think we'll get more into that. I don't think it's obvious that Libra is so detached, but it
Mm.
is. Um, yeah, and as far as moving through the chart, I mean, what else can I add besides what we've already said? I mean, yeah, we took all the way from Aries to Virgo to get here, and that was the building of just the individual, and the reason why Virgo comes right before Libra is that Virgo is that final step of looking in the mirror and adjusting yourself. Am I okay before I go
Mm.
out into the world and start, communing with other people? What do I
Yeah.
need to improve here? Virgo's wants to figure that out, and Libra's out there to say, all right, I'm ready. I'm going to go out into the world, and I'm gonna find other people. I'm going to be good at relationships. The Libra's goal here on this earth is to be good at relationships and to find calm. And if you look at all of the little things that we're going to say about Libra, what you'll find is that they all come back to the root of calm.
Mm.
Everything is that it's rooted there. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So for those that don't know, I have a lot of Libra energy
Yes.
in my chart. And I had a reading, and one of the things that he said was, he goes, "You just want to feel peaceful. Like that's what you want." And I was like, that is what I want. I just want everything to be peaceful. It's
Yeah.
so Libran. And I didn't know that other people don't want that.
Right.
Or it's not that they don't want peace, but they're not solving for it. Whereas I'm always
Exactly.
solving for calm and
Exactly.
peace, like that's the motivation for me. Um, yeah, that's every time I'm doing it 5 minutes in, every time we have an astrology episode, I get like the goosebumps about it's just so helpful for somebody to tell you who you are.
Yes.
Like,
It is.
oh
and
yeah.
and nobody would feel quite that way like a Libra too.
Oh,
For somebody to tell you who you are.
explain that.
It's the people pleasing. It's the like it's the wanting, somebody else coming in there. It's like a Libra wants everything to be balanced, right? So they're kind of indecisive. It's like they see all points of view. They see nuance like nobody else does. And so they've got all these points of view. They see all the nuance in themselves. And so they're constantly pointing to themselves and going like, well, am I an extrovert or am I an introvert? Do I like the outdoors or do I like the indoors? And they see reasons why they like all of those things. Okay. And every
Yeah.
human likes all of those things to some extent, right? But a Libra is constantly, again, they're an air sign. They're in their head, they're mental about it. And so they're constantly thinking, well, who am I really? I don't even know who the heck I am.
I mean, that makes sense. If you're always people pleasing,
Yeah.
it is
Yeah.
hard to know.
Yeah. So they're looking to someone else to say, oh, this is who you are. This is why. And for a Libra, the answer is really they're all of those things, right? I mean, we all
Mm,
are. We all
right.
are. But for a Libra, the pondering of those things is just so evident, and they're constantly trying to, like, to your point, get to the peace, of like what's going to make me feel the most peaceful of those things.
So I need some clarification on something.
Yeah.
Backing up to Gemini, our first air sign,
Yes.
it's the twins.
Yes.
And then we go to Libra with the two scales.
Mhm.
And they're both very mental and like open to other perspectives. So what's
Yes.
the difference between Gemini and Libra?
Yeah, the difference is that Gemini is more basic. Gemini is just like taking in information. It's not even necessarily doing anything with the information. Uh, it's the messenger. So it's the mailman. The mailman doesn't like look at your mail and give you judgments about it. Gosh, we'd all be pretty embarrassed sometimes, right? If the mailman was, ooh, a late bill and handing that to us. Gemini's just taking in the information and then relaying it to the world. Oh, guys, look at this. Look at this. Libra has all that information now. And Libra is trying to understand the nuance in it. Libra's trying to think about, well, how can this be balanced? How can we balance this information? I've got gold here on one side and I've got silver here on the other side, and I'm going to balance the scales so that this gold and the silver becomes equal. And that's what
Mm.
they're always looking to do.
Oh, that's fascinating. It's so funny. I feel like I should know Libra, and I do know Libra, and I'm also I think I get Libra confused with Venus. You know?
Sure. The natural. Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Um, which made me think, since Venus rules both Libra and Taurus, I think Taurus also wants to feel peaceful or calm.
Absolutely.
Calm might be a better word. So they have that
Hmm.
in
Hmm.
common, but yeah.
Yes.
Oh man. So,
But again, wants to feel the peace in a more simple way, the senses.
oh, that's
If you're
right.
going to
All
the
that
earlier signs,
information
it's
would be
always more
overwhelming.
simple.
Okay, sorry, I interrupted. Say that one more time.
Yes, yes.
No, say that again.
Yeah, Taurus wants to just feel, oh, about which part?
You were saying it wanted it to be simple, and I kept talking, so then I didn't hear you.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, Taurus wants it to be simple. No, that's okay. Any of the earlier signs, it's always going to come back to simplicity. Especially Taurus. Taurus is literally about simplicity. But yeah, they want to they want to feel things. They want it to be, their senses to be lit up. They that calmness, that peace that they want, they just want it to be. They don't want to have to
Gotcha.
think to make it that way. They just want it to be that.
Gotcha. So, like, the amount of information and perspective that a Libran would naturally include in their scale stuff would be probably overwhelming to a Taurus
Absolutely.
and complicating.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like the comparison. It's like I'm slowly getting the nuances in between, the similarities, the overlaps, and the nuances. Um,
Yes.
super helpful. I don't know where I want to go with this next question, but I have to back up a little bit, because you were
Sure.
talking about how fall doesn't actually start until Libra season. And
Hmm.
I have to tell you that September 1, there are people in my neighborhood and connected neighborhoods that have I was going to say October, Halloween decorations out.
Same for me. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
September 1.
Yeah.
And I can't. I can't. So first of all, I don't really like Halloween,
Right.
and I have a whole thing around that.
Sure.
And I'm gonna get on a soapbox for just a little bit, people.
Absolutely.
Listen, this is the soapbox. We all have a limited amount of stress that is good for us, and we have a limited amount of like cortisol that is good for us. And if you're going to be scared, I encourage you to go choose your fear by like making your dreams come true or proposing to your person. Don't just let some bloody actor scare you. Like, what a waste of your capacity. I don't
I
like
mean,
it.
spoken like a true Libra. I don't know what else to
Jesus.
say about that.
I mean, I'm all for dead people and honoring dead people. I'm with you on that. Like, we could do that. I just don't need the
Uh-huh.
jeez. And then we have to start September 1. Come on.
Yeah.
Christmas, maybe I'll get behind. But you can't do too early with Christmas because of Thanksgiving. And now I'm going to stop talking.
Back to
Libra.
peace.
I cannot help it. I'm like, come back, come
Yeah.
back.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah.
So funny. Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's true. Yeah, people do, they love it, and during Virgo season, that mutable sign, they're kind of invited to
Yeah.
tip their baby toe into fall and Halloween and all of the things. And yeah, I mean, Scorpio is gonna have a lot to say about you, about what you just said.
Sure. Sure.
But we were not to Scorpio yet, so.
Yes. So normally I want to ask more direct shadows, but actually I want to come back to that because my ADD brain is going somewhere else. So
Mhm.
Libra, in the zodiac, Libra is usually associated with the seventh house. Seventh house is
Yes.
relationships. So would we associate Libran energy with relationships? Or is that just the house and not?
Absolutely. Absolutely, yes. Both is true. That house would be more like the type of actions that you would take in a relationship, where those
Okay.
things are occurring, that kind of thing. But yeah, Libra energy is constantly, I mean, they are, yeah, known as the lover. They are looking, part of what they're here to do is relationships. Absolutely. And they want to do relationships well. They want it to be balanced. Everything is about that, again, that calm, that balance, and they will go out of their way to, you know, um, make sure that there is enough balance in that relationship, sometimes to their own detriment.
Hmm.
Um, you know, it's a fantastic thing to seek calm, like, absolutely. But sometimes things do need to be hashed out, and the Libra
Got
will
it.
at
Maybe.
all expect, no, 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 let's just squash this. No
Yes.
reason to
Yeah.
get that. Well, no, 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 we can all be friends. We can all be friends. And
Yeah.
that's, yeah.
I have to say, it's interesting when I can do that and when I can't. Like sometimes
Mm,
I feel like I don't have true peace until we have the confrontation.
right. Well, your Mercury's in Aries.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Yeah.
See, people, it's so
Uh,
complex.
complex.
So, in talking relationships, I'm very, very familiar with shadow Libra in relationships. So why do why don't we dive into the shadows of Libra?
Yeah, yeah. So we've talked about some of them. I mean, codependency is a big one. Indecision. We already talked about the indecision, the, just, yeah, wanting somebody else to decide, because they will sacrifice everything for peace.
Yeah.
And they see, it's so beautiful that Libra sees all of the nuance and everybody's perspective. Gosh, that's beautiful. And also, it can lead to problems, right? Like,
Hmm.
sometimes we just need to take a stand and know who we are,
Yeah.
um the need for people to like you, you know um too much compromise, if we're talking about, you know, there's plenty of things where maybe we shouldn't compromise on that. Maybe I shouldn't compromise on my ideals and my morals and my values. Let's stay true to who we are. And that's why, Aries being the opposite, Aries, the warrior, stays true to who they are at all costs. They don't care. They don't give two licks about peace. Everything to them is about standing true to who you are, and in your gut who you are,
Mm.
and that's why they're opposites. um Yeah, dissociative. I mentioned that very, very briefly, but that's one thing I think people don't necessarily realize about Libra, is how dissociative they can be. And again, every air sign is dissociative. And it's because they're too in their head. They're not getting into their emotions enough, you know?
Yeah.
And they're thinking the constant, how do I balance things? How do I just make peace? And so they'll dissociate from the actual feelings involved that are necessary to resolve the situation. Just they'll bypass all of that just to make peace.
Yeah. I had a really painful lesson around this. I have to go back and look at the degrees exactly, but it was during my nodal return.
Mm-hmm.
And for those of you listening, my South Node is in Libra, so I'm very familiar with the shadow,
Yep.
where I was planning a 10-year vow renewal. And you know this story, but
Yes.
I I did not know that I did not know what I wanted for that vow renewal. I was planning it based on who all was coming and what was going to make it easy for them if they
Yeah.
were handicapped. What's going to make it easy for my kids? Who's going to have food to eat? Like, what's going to be? I never asked myself, like, what is my dream? And I thought that I genuinely thought that I had, until it was time to do the vow renewal. And we're in this room and there's the people that are there and the food that's there. And I remember thinking, I don't, how did I get to this? Like, this isn't, So it's interesting with any sign with the shadow stuff. It's easy to not know that you're doing it.
Absolutely.
It felt
Yeah.
to me like I was, for once, being a rational, logical person and just considering all the things and making a solid plan with all the information. And I didn't
Yeah.
even notice that I was so disassociated from what I want that I didn't put it in there, you know?
Yeah.
Like, that's the
Yeah.
disassociative part, is like, can if Libra is the scales, can I be the voice in the middle of the scales?
Yeah.
Can I actually own a voice there? It's really, really interesting because, you know, I'm pushing 40, and not that I thought I would be a perfect human being. I knew I would not, but I thought I'd be a little bit further along in the people pleasing. You know, it's like I've graduated past a lot of the conscious aware people pleasing, but I'm solid in the it's just a default way of living. Um and so it's really, I don't know, it's interesting. And the idea that that Aries is so comfortable knowing who they are is a fascinating idea to me, because I just would have assumed Aries is so fiery and so passionate that it's less about identity and just more about the energy they want to have.
Yeah.
Like, they just want to go set fire to stuff.
Yeah. Well, and that's
And
true, but it's literally like they don't even question it. Everything is so guttural for them that they
okay,
just they make an instant snap decision and they don't even question it.
got it.
Okay. And there's value in that.
There
Like
is, yeah.
yeah, like I've heard, Brene Brown speak plenty of times about how like the people who make those instant guttural decisions, their decisions are usually better than the people who've researched.
I want to listen to that episode of her podcast. I don't think I've caught
Yeah.
that before.
Yeah, I can't, it's been a couple years since I've heard her say that, so
Sure.
I can't point to anything specific, but I have definitely heard her say that. And it's absolutely fascinating. So especially for you and I, so for, Amy just said that she is a Libra South Node. I am an Aries South Node, which the two of us, we love that about our friendship. That's, I think, one
Yes.
of the things that bonds us more than anything, is that we really we are seeking we're seeking opposite things, yet we're seeking the exact same thing. And that's
Yeah.
with the nodes, that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to push yourself to the opposite sign, but really you're not trying to go all the way to the opposite sign. You're just trying to find the middle place. But to find the middle place, you've got to push towards the opposite. So we bounce off of each other a lot with that, and it's lovely.
It is lovely.
It really is.
Because there's
Yeah.
wisdom from the other side,
There's
and
so much
understanding.
wisdom.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and I think it's like, what you were saying about, I just want to kind of go back to what you were saying about your nodal return, and you thought you'd be, better off by
Yeah.
40 with the people pleasing and stuff. But with the nodes, we don't really, most of us don't really start doing our nodal work until that nodal return that happens at about 36ish,
Mm,
and so it's actually quite normal. And we've known each other for several years now, and
yeah.
the amount that I've seen you grow, excuse me, in the people pleasing arena is, I mean, just, yeah, it's just
Yeah.
astounding. It's
It's hard to
astounding.
quantify.
It is. And
Yeah.
this is why I think that astrology is so valuable, because here's the thing. If you never paid attention to astrology, you would have done a lot of this work even without it, because you don't, these
Yeah.
things, you don't need the guidebook in front of you. The
Yeah.
energy is there. The energy is, regardless of whether you know the energy's there, the energy's there. It's going to push you towards that thing. Okay, but when the energy's there and you have a guidebook in front of you, it just allows you so much more ease in moving through it and understanding of, oh, this is
Yeah.
why this happened, and this is where I'm supposed to be going. And yeah, I just sometimes feel like we're cheating,
Yeah.
knowing these things. And it's also beautiful to help us know that we're on the right track,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know. But
Years ago, you and I had talked about a shadow aspect of Libra, because we have another Libra rising friend, and she and I were doing the same thing at the same time. And you were referencing accounting. Like, I took
mm-hmm.
out the trash, but he did the dishes, and that's not fair. Da, 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 da,
Yes.
And it was so funny the other day. I found myself doing that again. And had you not given it a term, had you not said, "Oh, that's Libra shadow, that's accounting," in my mind, as the Libran, I think I genuinely would have been bought into the idea of what's fair.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
even though in my heart of hearts, I know that that ultimately is not the goal for the relationship. Yeah,
Yeah,
like the relationship is a healthy running household. Everything works, you know?
exactly.
So it's just, yeah, that's, I'm, yeah, I don't know. I don't have words.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Yes, that is definitely a thing. Yeah, make it fair. And life, but life's not fair. We all know that.
Yeah.
Life's not fair. And maybe in the cosmic calculator, when we look at all of our lives, maybe at the end point, maybe then it's fair, but certainly not in these lifetimes, you know?
Well, it's sort of funny. And now that I'm thinking, okay, so Libra's our first sign into relationship
Yes.
and it cares about relationship, but it's a beginner. So it's like,
Oh,
well, I gave you a cupcake, you give me a cookie. Come on.
such an excellent point.
It's like, this is yes and no.
That's such an excellent point. Yeah, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. It is a beginner, and also it's like what I sometimes come back to, that people think we're, oh, you're whatever sign, that means you're naturally good at that thing.
Right.
No, that means you're here to learn how to do that thing. So there's that piece of the equation too for any Libras listening who think, I'm a Libra, I'm great at relationships. Well, you have the urge
Maybe.
to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good that you identify with that.
Yes.
Just
Yeah.
because you want to feel peaceful and good at things doesn't mean you are. Oh, that's
Oh,
funny.
yeah. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So true. So true.
Uh, well, what else should we know about Libra? Anything else we haven't said about Libra that is here to love? I know I've taken us to the shadow side, but um, I'm thinking so both my parents are Libra suns because they're later September, early October.
Okay.
And they're very different embodiments of it, obviously. But yeah,
Yeah.
they're both very people oriented people.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
one thing that we haven't touched on with Libra yet is art.
Oh,
Yeah. Again, it's like I said earlier, everything with Libra, we're going to talk about all these little nuances and all these little things. But it all comes down to like calm, right? And so what is art really? What is beauty? And when I say art, I mean more than just like a painting on a wall. I mean makeup is art.
mm-hmm.
Interior design is art. Like
Yeah.
like
Anything beauty.
anything beauty related, right? Or even going out into nature and looking at a beautiful landscape in nature, whatever that is, whether that's a forest or a desert or the beach or whatever. If you think about all of those things, what do they all do? What do they all achieve when you're looking at a piece of beautiful artwork, or you've done your makeup and you look in the mirror and you go, gosh, I look beautiful. It's that sense of calm. Again, it always, oh, wow, you know?
Yeah.
And art, so much of art is about balance too. It's about, if we're looking at the example of makeup, or,
Yeah.
our faces are horribly uneven, all of us. And what can we do with makeup? We can make our faces more even, right? We can, so it's okay, let's bring out the beauty in the person, is what the Libra would want to do. They'd really want to bring out the beauty in that person's face. And if we're looking, um if we're looking at artwork, it's not all equal, right? But they
Mm-hmm.
understand still the balance in the inequity, the rule of
Right.
threes, things like that. Okay. They understand that it's beautiful just to have a tree askew over here in the picture, and what that adds, and then and how the eye carries over, just all those little details. A Libra appreciates. There are several signs that really appreciate art. um Perhaps this can certainly be up to debate, but perhaps Libra appreciates art more than anybody else.
Mm.
And their reason for appreciating it is that sense of calm. That's what they're after, always.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm. I feel like in everything ever, but specifically astrology, you can always find the answer in the question.
Hmm.
And so with Libra, one of the things I'm working on is my by nature, I know that I just want to feel calm and peaceful all the time. But because I can understand balance, like allowing myself to go, oh, well, this is the other half. Like when it's the other half and not resist it and just let it be there
Yeah.
and to just focus on, I do know that there are two sides to every coin, you know? Um, so I think it's interesting that I'm curious about the idea of beauty, and I'm wondering if, because you know how sometimes there's like America's Next Top Model or whatever. There's some of those shows where they will talk about how like something's sort of ugly, pretty.
Hmm. Hmm.
You know, I'm just curious if you think Libra can appreciate ugly or if it just wants pretty. Like I'm thinking Scorpio could probably appreciate something that's, you know.
Sure.
So I'm curious on your take on Libra and beauty.
Yeah,
Cause
that's a really interesting question. I mean, I think I think they can. Yeah.
okay,
But it depends on, and again, it's sometimes it's really hard to, when we're having these conversations, it's really hard to break down the purity of the sign versus
right,
like a human who exists and has a lot of Libra in their chart, but also Scorpio and Aquarius and whatever
right,
else, right?
right.
And so certainly someone with a lot of Libra in their chart could absolutely find the ugly pretty beautiful. Because, but maybe to your point, because of Scorpio energy that's coming in there,
Yeah.
you know.
Unless it's
So would it?
Halloween.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But somebody of pure, just not somebody of, because there's
Right,
nobody
just
that's pure
the
Libra
archetype.
energy. The archetype of Libra, would they appreciate that? I think
My
maybe no.
instinct is no. Yeah. My
Yeah.
instinct is no. I just really want it pretty.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah.
So it's interesting because I know just within me, I sort of vacillate on the I want it pretty, I want it peaceful versus, well, I can hold that both things are true.
Yeah.
And just in terms of when I meet with clients, I can hold that this person is going to be miserable or grieving or whatever, and it's not mine to fix. And it is, they are meant to experience those things,
Yeah.
you know, and it doesn't mean that something has gone wrong. It's like I can hold that. I really can.
Yeah.
But also I just want everything to be pretty. And I
Uh-huh.
and I want to
Well,
feel good.
and isn't it an interesting idea that both of those things are Libran ideas?
Right.
The ability to hold two ideas at once
Oh,
is absolutely Libran. And the let's just toss that to the side. No, no, no. Let's just make it nice and lovely.
yeah.
That's also Libran. And I guess it's really high road versus low road, perhaps. You
Mhm.
know, because yeah, real high road Libra energy is just going to be really good at understanding that two things can be true, uh, and it's okay, and we don't need
Ooh,
to.
two things can be true. Yes. Yeah. That's
Yeah,
that's good.
we we all in our society need a little bit more of that one.
Yeah. Well, yes.
A little bit more.
Yeah. Just a
A little
touch.
bit.
A little touch more of that.
Touch. A little touch more.
Oh man. Two things can be true. I like it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
really I'm going to be thinking about my idea that like we're a beginner level of relationships. That's actually I keep coming back to that in my own mind going, "Oh, that's kind of helpful." Um
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I mean, I have enough other planets that's not the only thing other placements that I solve for, but yeah. Interesting.
It is. It is helpful, and also, like I was listening to a Simon Sinek podcast last night, and he was talking about, they were talking about mastery and things like that, and talking about in mastery, you need the beginner's mindset.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
it's
Isn't
like
that ironic?
it's so ironic, right?
Yeah.
It's fascinating. He was talking about a man who was like a master sword, a samurai sword maker, and how that man, I can't recall exactly the words that he used to say what that man had kind of said about himself, but he very much had a beginner's mindset. Like, even though he was this quote unquote master, like he considered himself, not that he was trying to say he wasn't any good, that wasn't it at all, but that there was always more to learn, and that
Mm.
one day maybe he'll get to where he wants to be. Probably not, right? But it's always having that. Yeah, the true masters understand that there's never you can always learn more, and you can always be better. We're kind of bringing it back to Virgo a little bit, I suppose, with that too. But I think the Libran aspect of that is just is holding those ideas, um and having that beginner's mindset about relationships. And that is that does that actually mean that they are a beginner in relationships, or is it that they're really good at holding that beginner's mindset, and so maybe they are
Mm. Yeah.
really fantastic at relationships because they're able to hold that idea. I don't know, never pondered that before, but
No, I think that's a great perspective. And of course, again, there's like Libra, the archetype versus how we all embody it. So,
yeah.
yeah. I always wonder about people that are able to hold a beginner's mindset for years. I'm like, how do you
Hmm.
have the energy to stay a beginner? It takes so much more energy to be a beginner. How do people do that?
Maybe.
I guess they just stay inspired. Like, I'm like, how do people? Yeah, I don't know.
It's the minutia, I think, it's being, and again, we're almost bringing it back to Virgo, but
Oh, yeah.
the smallest details, being fascinated by the tiny, tiny things, and unraveling those. I don't know. Yeah.
I don't have the, I don't have it. Maybe it's because my Mercury's in Aries. I'm like, I don't got time to stay a beginner for
Yeah.
forever.
Hmm.
Oh, I
Right.
will, but
Well,
it's because I'm going to be a beginner at something else. I was a beginner here, and now
right.
I'm going to go be a beginner here.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yes. That's what Aries would do. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't. I'm done thinking about this one. Now I want to think about that one. Oh
Right. Yeah.
gosh. Um. Okay. Anything else we want to say about Libra and why we love them and what they do for the planet before we talk about the season itself?
Oh gosh. Anything else? Did we leave off anything?
I mean, we haven't talked
Um,
about relationships in the sense of how do Libras show love? How, if you are in relationship with a Libra, what's a good way to interact with them? We haven't talked about that yet, I guess.
yeah. I mean, I think with a Libra, again, when we recognize that basic principle with them, that everything comes down to peace, I think, understand, if you're with a Libra, to understand that, you know, they are always seeking that, and to provide them with that sense of peace, that is just so innately important. And if don't pick fights with them, and it's like, understand sometimes that when they bring up nuance, um they can't help but have their mind go there,
Hmm.
you know and I just think understand this is true for any sign, I suppose, but I think understanding who they are and what their motivation is, can help you support them better, because sometimes I think it's just really hard to, when you look at somebody else, and why are you doing that, and it's like peace for them.
Hmm.
The answer always comes down to peace. They're trying to bring peace, and maybe guiding them through some of those difficult conversations, since they may not be good at it. That's probably
Uh-huh.
actually a really supportive thing you can do, but in a kind way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking, it's funny, I was thinking about difficult conversations and how some of the things that I teach people when I teach communication are kind of counter to what I actually like as a Libra in communication.
Uh-huh.
So, emotional bank account. We're all
Hmm.
supposed to be putting in the emotional bank account all the time.
Yeah.
And there used to be, back in the 80s and 90s, it was back in the world of organizational communication. It was this like Oreo method where first I'm going to tell you why you're so awesome and I like you. And then in the middle, I'm going to be like, but also you suck at this thing and you got to meet your deadline. And then I'm going to be like, but
Hmm.
I believe in you. It's great. And that
Right.
was that was the way we taught communication in organizations for decades. And turns out if you do that, it just makes people feel like you can't trust you because
Mm.
you've set them up as if this is going to be good. And then you're like, and also you suck and it's terrible and blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I have taught for a long time that the positive affirmation conversations need to be separate from the critical feedback.
Oh,
And I will say, as a Libra, it's not necessarily that I need the positive affirmation. I'm getting to the nuance now, but
mhm.
I do need, if I'm going to get the feedback, I do need at the beginning evidence that the person has looked at things through my eyes.
Yeah.
Like they can still say, listen, Amy, that I wish you had driven this other way or picked up the kids on time or like whatever the thing is, I can get the feedback. But if I have evidence first that, I know you're really busy and I know you're worried about this deadline. And like, if I have evidence that they've thought about me, it's like, then I feel safe to take on their perspective. It's almost like I need them to prove that they're a little bit Libra
And
and that they can
that's
hold my
exactly what I was thinking,
transit.
because yeah, because you do that. I think
Yeah.
all humans, we all want the other person to do the thing that we do, right?
Right.
We're like, why
Right.
I did that, why couldn't you? And so as a Libra, yes, that's what you will have done. That you will have got when they've made a mistake. You will have gone through. Well, I suppose that they probably did it because of this. You're really good at giving people the benefit of the doubt, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
They didn't sleep well. They're tired. Their boss is mean to them all the time. There's all the
exactly.
reasons why humans do the humaning.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, Libras are great at that, which goes back to that's a fantastic quality. And also sometimes they pull that out too much and
Right.
they end up not giving themselves enough credit,
Hmm.
and but so I love that. I appreciate that like I just want them to do that.
Yeah.
Like, and that is a basic thing. That wouldn't it be lovely if everybody just did that? It wouldn't it be lovely if we all gave each other the benefit of the doubt and looked to the reasons why somebody may have done something that seemed a little crazy?
Right. Well, and I think in terms of the communication, it's like two things are true.
Mhm.
Yes, you may have the mean boss and not slept and yada yada. And so I give you that. And it's okay for me. I, I'm pepping myself up now. It is okay for me to say, I'm not okay with this. And you owe me an
Yes.
apology. And I need
Yes.
evidence that you're going to try not to do this again. Because I'm a
Right.
Libra, I'm going to forgive you if you do it again. But like, at least you need to know that I'm not okay with this. I will let you walk all over me, but I'm going to
Mhm.
pretend like I won't.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Oh,
I'm better than
sweet
that
Libra.
now.
Sweet Libra.
I know. In the shadow side, y'all. This is shadow Libra. We're not
Yes.
saying you're supposed to be codependent and a doormat.
Yeah. Yeah. No, please don't be a doormat. Get some of that Aries fire in there. And yeah.
Yeah, get it going. Oh,
Uh-huh.
that's so funny. Well, so in Virgo season, we were talking about um, the pencils and the school supplies and how exciting that is.
Yes, 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 yes.
So now bring us to Libra season. What's the conscious shift that we're all moving into?
Oh gosh. I think yeah, it comes down to fall.
Yeah,
I,
which is so
I,
romantic.
it's so romantic. Like who doesn't love fall?
I
Like, I
don't
mean,
know.
seriously,
Crazy people.
it's got to be. If you polled people, I'm pretty sure that most people would say it's their favorite season. And what is it? What is it about fall? It's the balance of the light. Like it's been hot. I think
Yeah.
everywhere it has been hot. Everybody is ready to find some balance in our lives and wear a damn sweater. I mean,
Mhm. Yes.
and so and it's like let's come into that. Let's find the balance. Be able to like literally flip it, you know,
Yeah.
literally flip the whole thing. It has been hot. It has been a certain way. There's been a certain air.
That's
Let's
what I was just
flip
going to
the
say. The
temperature.
air changes.
The air changes.
It's an
It
air sign and
does.
the air changes.
Yes, yes. And oh gosh, one of the things I love about fall, I live in California, and so I can't speak to other climates. And I know, of course,
Right.
California is notorious for not having as beautiful as a fall as a lot of other places.
Right.
We do have some fall beauty, I will say, not as beautiful as upstate New York or something, um, but the wind, we get wind, and it's not good. Okay, a lot of times we get way too much wind, which causes our fires. But there's beauty in wind. If you look at Mother Nature, and what's the reason for this wind coming in there, right? It's to sweep away. It's to clean. Like
Mm.
get rid of all of the debris, like, go through the trees and pull everything out, and it's so that we can eventually, with winter die. but but it's like this, it is this great balancing of Mother Nature. And if we're in
Mm.
alignment with Mother Nature, then we will be going through the same thing, and we all are attempting to balance the scales, as we approach this season. So yeah, the air, the wind, the leaves, the just you feel it. I don't have words to describe the way that the air feels in fall, but we all know it.
So I think it's romantic, but I also have a lot of Libra in my chart. Doesn't everybody think fall is romantic?
I think so.
I like
I
it
think
seems just a universal, like there's something kind of euphoric about it,
yes.
or at
There,
least
there
for a time.
there is. There absolutely is. I mean, winter and summer are the extremes, right?
Yeah.
So all of a sudden you're in this, just it's beautiful. The colors are beautiful. And spring and fall, of course, both have the characteristic of equal. But spring has this like, everything's coming back to life. It's like and there's beauty in that, right? That's
Yeah.
beautiful too, but in such a different way. It's like, you know what it is? Spring feels a little how do I say this? It's like I don't know, this is too perfect. It's just like it's too like I don't even know what I'm trying to say.
Here's my feeling about it.
Uh-huh.
For whatever reason, maybe it's because we're headed into Halloween and Thanksgiving and Christmas, but
Mhm.
when you get to fall, it feels more community relationship oriented, whereas spring
Mm.
is more about myself. Energetically, I feel them differently.
Interesting. I wasn't going to go that way at all, but I can definitely see why you would go that way. I'll finish my thought really quick, and then I'm going to
Yeah.
definitely come back to yours. But yeah, I mean, I was thinking, it's the spring is almost too like it is fluffy almost, right?
Oh,
And now we come into fall. It's nuance. It's the
yeah.
changing of the leaves and the color. You have some of them that are alive and some of them are dead. It's nuanced and it's beautiful. It's equal. It's like it's more deep and rich. And
Yeah.
and I yeah. And then you're so right about relationships and community and all of those things, because what do you need to do as the weather gets colder? Why do we have this chunk of holidays, in the fall and winter
Yeah.
seasons? Because we can all just during the summertime we can all just run around and go and do our own things and whatever, and yeah, we're communing with other people, but in the fall and in the winter it becomes almost like a necessity. And like the celebration of Mabon is an ancient pagan celebration that happens on the first day of fall, the first day of Libra season. And it's the harvest, and
Mm.
it's like it's picking all of the food from the harvest, having this beautiful feast with all of the summer, riches.
That's what it is.
Yeah, and then everybody getting together to store them. Are we going to do canning? Are we drying our food? How are we going to put them in the cellars? Of course, this is ancient stuff that we don't necessarily
Yeah, but
do
no,
anymore, right?
yeah.
But it's the feeling is still there.
There's a feeling of plenty, of like
Yes,
plentiful.
yes.
God, Suzanne, you're good.
Ah, well, you helped me get there. That was you
But
who
it makes
prompted that.
sense because it's the end of
Mhm.
the harvest.
Yes.
And it's like we have all this prosperity. What do we want to do with it? There's a
Mm.
like this feeling of opportunity or abundance or something.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
that's why we're all like high.
Yeah,
We're
it
walking
really
around.
is. It really
Yeah.
is. It's like it's beautiful. And this is why I love celebrating with the seasons,
Yeah.
because you find the richness of that of Mabon is so beautiful. I I have had my family do Mabon celebrations before, and I don't do them every year because school nights and
Yeah. Whatever. Yeah.
craziness. It's absolutely insane. The one year that sticks out in my mind that I did it the first time, it was just so beautiful. I remember I wore a beautiful fall dress and prepared this just insane dinner. And I looked up, my family is from Somerset, England. And so I
Mm.
looked up like recipes that they would make, you know, and there was this beautiful Somerset apple cake. And we had apples
Oh.
growing in the backyard, and I made this apple cake from those, and it was just delicious. And we laid out everything, you know, from the garden that year. We'd had a really this year we don't have a good garden, but that year we did. That year it was
Yeah.
lovely. And it was I mean, oh, I was just, this is how we're supposed to be. This is how we're supposed to be. And
Yeah, the
even me
harvest.
who
Mm.
knows that feeling, I don't make it a priority. And gosh, can we again? Can we do this?
It's so
Oh,
hard to make it a priority because the
so hard.
calendar is set for us a lot of times.
Yeah.
Oh, coming together. Gosh, it just makes so much sense. The harvest. And like, I really feel that we haven't, it's in us somewhere. I don't believe as humans we've lost that
No,
connection to nature.
no,
It's
we have not.
energy, we're energy. You can't undo it
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
So we can wake it up. We can wake it up.
We can. Age of Aquarius. Yeah.
Yes. Amen. Which by the way, because Pluto's back in Cap, it's scoring my nodes. No, thank you. Um, Can you get back to Aquarius, Pluto? But
I'm
anyway,
sorry.
so I'm just saying,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to do a shameless plug for Ralph McIntyre
Oh, yes. We
because we
love
were talking
Ralph.
about fall and I went to grad school, Case Western Ohio, Trojans, Spartans, I don't remember what. Anyway, good business school. Yeah.
Okay.
So, Weatherhead School of Business. That one I remember. So, anyway, it's in Cleveland, Ohio. And the first time I went and it was fall, friend, you would have thought I was speechless. Like people were talking to me in the car and I literally said, please don't talk to me. Like I was just like, I've never seen anything like this. Anything. And then we went back and it was winter and it was horrid. Like just objectively speaking,
Yeah.
driving is scary. It was very gray and dingy. And I was still just kind of high. And so anyway, so thanks to Ralph and his astrogeography, I've learned that that's right on my moon line.
Oh,
And
gosh,
so
I love it.
I feel really good there. But also fall and spring in Ohio are, I don't even know. Compared to
Wow.
Texas, it's a whole other thing.
I had no idea. I know very little about Ohio, so yeah.
I know because people don't talk about Ohio unless it's, we're talking about the swing state in the election.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I kid you not, I literally said, please don't talk to me. Like and they
Wow.
were kind of laughing. A lot of people were local to Ohio. And I was like, you guys get this every year? We were just driving down the highway, like ugly highways, but friend, the trees are golden and red and
Mm,
all of them.
mm,
Like it's crazy. Crazy. And my older
I,
brother lives in North Carolina. They get that too, but I've never hit it just right.
right. Yeah, the closest I've ever come to being in the beautiful fall area is Northern California. They certainly have it better than us in Southern California, you
Yeah.
know. So I need to plan, like, yeah, like upstate New York is what I think of as like the ultimate, you know, or
Yeah.
Connecticut, somewhere like that, somewhere in New England. Um,
Oh,
to
I
me.
forgot to finish my plug. I'm so sorry.
Oh
Ralph
yeah,
has
go
a
on.
thing coming up. I think it's November 22nd. I'll put a link in there. He's going to teach astrogeography. It's good for beginners, and I'm going to be there. I'm going to take it.
Yay.
So, yay.
Yay.
I want to learn
We
more
love
about
Ralph.
where the heck I should move and travel to.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember the first time I went, I felt so amazing, but I thought it
Mhm.
was the circumstances and I was manifesting and yada yada. But I went several times and every time I felt amazing. Like
Wow.
it's just energetically better for me.
Yeah.
I'm
And
not saying I'm moving to Cleveland, Ohio. I'm just saying it feels good.
and I live on my moon line, literally like a couple miles away from it, the exact point.
That's
And
amazing.
I love where I live.
You do love where you live. It's
I
a
love
little
where
obnoxious.
sorry.
I'm like, listen, could you be less happy about where you live? I'm jealous of your peace.
I mean, if there's any consolation, you know, a week ago it was 108 degrees, so that was not cute.
I mean, I get that all the time.
Yeah.
Yay, Texas. Okay, so we've officially, I think, dug Libra into the ground with all
I
my
think so.
meanderings and
Oh, it was
soapboxes.
lovely. Oh,
Do you
no,
want
that
to
was
tell
lovely.
us about transits?
Sure, let's get into it. Okay, all right, all right. So the sun actually enters Libra on September 22nd at 5:43 a.m. 5:43 a.m. Pacific time, I should say. So that is when we are officially entering Libra season and fall. Yay! 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 All right. And then, oh, look at this. Later that day, Venus enters Scorpio. So that is,
Ooh,
yeah, on September 22nd at 7:35 p.m. Pacific time. And this is, we didn't really talk a whole lot about this, but, Venus rules Libra. So Amy mentioned at one point that they kind of have some similar energies. That's absolutely true. So now what happens when Venus, the planet of love, moves into Scorpio, the sign of, you know, death. I mean, it's a sign of a great many things, but
yeah,
but no, really, depth would be
depth. Yeah.
DEPTH would be a better explanation of what Scorpio is about. We'll get to that next month in more detail, but yeah, I mean, that's going to be a time to really, really dive into those relationships. Let's not be afraid to get into those deep, dark topics. You know,
What a beautiful start to Libra season. Get
beautiful,
into the
right?
relationship. Yeah.
Yeah, really get into it. Yeah, it's also, Scorpio's known for some crazy intimacy, some taboo. So, if you want to take it a little further in your relationships,
Have at it.
have at it. Yeah. Okay. Then we've got, let's see, Mercury entering Libra. All right. So we're still kind of on that theme on September 26th at 1:08 a.m. Pacific time. So Mercury, planet of communication, thinking, entering Libra. We've just been talking about Libra. What is Libra about? Balance. Okay. So
Balance.
guys, so
Multiple perspectives.
let's get real deep. Let's get real deep with Scorpio, but now in our thinking and communication, let's make sure that we're balanced. That's
Mm.
kind of beautiful, actually, isn't it?
Yeah. Don't
That's
get
really
lost
nice.
in the depth.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Skipping over a few things because of moon phases and whatnot, so we'll get to that. Oh, and then we've got Mercury is going to be moving pretty quick here because on 10/13 at 12:23 p.m., Mercury is going to move into Scorpio. So
Okay.
it's primed us, and now
Yeah.
we can even talk about those real deep conversations. You know,
Ooh. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, and that's what yeah, Libra primes for Scorpio. You can't get to Scorpio without first building those
That's true.
Libran
You have to have
connections.
initial connection. You can't just.
Mhm. And that's why it flows that way. And then we've got Venus entering Sagittarius on 10/17 at 12:28 p.m. So yeah, Venus moving pretty quick here too. Again, the planet of love moving into Sagittarius. Sagittarius is like, let's be done with all this depth of Scorpio. Let's just go have some fun. Let's have some fun.
Yeah.
Let's be wild, y'all. That's what Sagittarius do.
Well, that feels about right heading into what is that?
That'll be
Two and a half weeks
Scorpio.
before Halloween.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Exactly. Okay, so then the moon phases. All right, we're going to start off on September 24th at 11:51 a.m. Last quarter moon in Cancer. Cancer moon is always a lovely moon. The moon is really, really happy in Cancer. Um, but it's a last quarter moon, which causes some friction, because Cancer and Libra don't necessarily get along with each other. They're
Which is
they're
so ironic.
it seems like that you kind of almost have to dig to find out why. It's some of them are
Yeah.
real obvious,
Right.
but here's the thing. Libra, remember, is dissociative, just wants balance at all costs. Cancer is, let's dive into all of our emotions and cry at the first sign of anything. Okay. So that's kind of the thing is the friction between, do we ignore our emotions or do we pay attention? That's really the
Okay.
question there on that day.
Okay.
Um, then we have got new moon solar eclipse in Libra. Yay. So we are in eclipse season. So, we will have shortly before had the full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces. Yeah, now we're going to have it in Libra. And it's, you pay attention to the eclipses and the nodes and all those things, you know that they're connected. We're in that season now where usually the eclipses are the opposite signs. You have the solar eclipse and the lunar eclipse. They're 2 weeks apart. They're opposite signs. This is not the case right now, and that's because we're coming to a close of the
Mm.
Aries and Libra nodal story. So we're bringing
Oh,
in
yeah.
Pisces. Yeah, with that lunar eclipse, but for the solar eclipse, we're coming back to Libra. So that's pretty normal that that happens. So new moons are always a fantastic time to manifest anything um, of that sign's energy. The moon and the sun are both in that sign of Libra. What do you want to manifest? Relationships, calm, peace, art. Any nuance. Anything like that is a great time. And a solar eclipse is just going to really amplify that energy. So it's just a really, really great time to just get it amplified. And, you know, um, okay. And then we've got the first quarter moon in Capricorn on 10:10 at 11:56 a.m. Pacific time. Again, quarter moons, times of friction. Capricorn and Libra, again, also don't really get along that much. Capricorn is also a dissociative sign, but for very different reasons. Capricorn doesn't
Uh-huh.
even care about balance, none of that
No.
stuff. No, just one foot in front of the other. Just keep doing the work. We're going to climb the mountain. We're going to do it. Stop tittle paddling with all of your, reasons why and why not. I don't care. that's,
Uh, I'm
that's
not
what
even looking
Capricorn.
at you. I'm
Yeah. just go. Just go. Yeah, so some friction there. And then we end it with the full moon in Aries. So on 10:17, 4:28 a.m. Yeah, full moon's great time to release those Aries things, you know. Libra sun, Aries moon. Where's the balance between the two? Yeah, that's what we got.
So I have a question. Let's
Yes.
say I'm an amateur astrology enthusiast. And let's say I look at my chart and I see that the moon, whether it's full moon or quarter moon or whatever, that the moon is going to be right on top of a planet of mine.
Mm.
What should I expect? How is that day any different?
Yeah, so whenever so that's called a conjunction. All right. And if we're talking about it with a transit, meaning a planet in the sky and the current night sky coming into contact with a planet in your natal chart, they're conjunct at that moment. Those two energies are for a short term are
Yeah.
forced to work together. If you have a conjunction in your natal chart, they're forced to work with each other for your whole life. When we're talking about a transit, they're forced to work with each other for that time. So
Right.
you would question, you would say the moon, and now the moon is very, very fast moving.
Right.
So it's not typically a really impactful transit because it doesn't have time to build any kind of depth. Just coming in there, you might feel the moon is about emotions. Okay, so if the moon is coming in there and it's conjunct your Venus, let's say, all right, Venus again is about love, the things that we like, all feeling calm, peace, all of those Libran things we talked about. The moon is coming in there, emotions. We might feel real emotional about relationships or balance. We might just all of a sudden have an emotional outburst all of a sudden because things are just unbalanced in my life and I hate it. Why is everything so unbalanced for me all the time?
Mm.
And you just get real
Hmm.
emotional about that. So just whatever those two energies are, yeah, think about how would they merge together as one.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what is eclipse season and why does it matter?
Yeah. So eclipse season is really, I'm not going to give it to you in scientific terms because
Yeah, no, please
we'd be
don't.
here all day. And I also don't think I have the capacity to. But basically, so you have the nodes of the moon, which are basically just angles of the moon. Okay. And when, when the eclipses come in there, it's all about like, um, the, those angles, certain things getting covered up, and rotating around each other. And it's like, for me, imagine being in ancient times and all of a sudden the sun has blacked out. I mean, they said the gods are trying to talk to us, right? Okay.
Hmm.
It's those things that they just innately knew. And of course, in ancient times, they would freak out and they would think the world was coming to an end and, all kinds of horrible things. But that we don't necessarily pay. Not that they did it great either. Okay.
Right,
But,
right.
we're something's trying to be highlighted for us.
Mm.
That's really the gist of it. Okay. So something is trying to be the gods, God, the universe, source, whatever you want to call it, wants us to notice something. Okay. It's just being highlighted. It's just being amplified. It's being bigger. You'll find all kinds of people who will give you all kinds of explanations of more specifics. I don't really believe in super specific things unless we're getting into the signs of that, you know?
Right.
Um, but I just believe it's amplification. Hey, notice this. It's big.
Mm,
And then again, we look at the signs and maybe other planets that are involved to come up with a deeper meaning. But for me, that's what it is. So,
okay.
yeah. And we may not even notice, you know, where depending on where you are, you won't necessarily see eclipses. Most eclipses, I think most people don't see, you know,
Right.
so there's that too, but I still think it's something we're supposed to notice, even if it's not visible.
Okay. Another question.
Yes.
So you were talking about noticing, and I think you said illuminate. Maybe you didn't, but
Yeah.
it made me think of the luminaries and
Hmm.
how that's the sun and the moon,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
And they both illuminate for you.
Hmm.
So, what's the difference between a sun being conjunct one of your planets and a moon being conjunct one of your planets? And is there, I keep going to day and night. Like, is there a difference correlated to day and night? I mean, I know we see the moon during the day. Could you, I'm just going to spin here.
I I wouldn't say there's. I mean, yeah, okay. I suppose we could say there's a. It does correlate to day and night in as much as the sun is it's brighter. It's what's more obvious about us. That's why
Okay.
when you're looking at most people know their sun sign, even people who think astrology is of the devil probably know their sun sign, right? I mean,
Yeah.
just everybody
Yeah.
knows it. And so that's why it's so illuminated and it's so big. If the sun is conjunct another planet in your chart, that planet is also illuminated. And but that planet again, they have to work together. That planet is also going to affect your sun. You can't like I was doing a reading one time, and it was when I was training to be an astrologer, and actually this wasn't me who was doing a reading; it was somebody else. But they were pointing out to the person. They were saying, "Oh, you're a a Libra moon or whatever," and the person was like, "I don't relate to this at all." And there was another like the master astrologer who was on the call said that's because the moon or Pluto is conjunct your moon.
Oh,
You're a
yeah. That changes
Scorpio
it.
moon because
Yeah.
Pluto rules Scorpio. You're a Scorpio moon, and she started describing Scorpio, and the woman was like, "Yep, that's me. That's me." And
Mm,
so it both will flavor each other. You know, um,
right.
and you can't take them apart. And so the same thing with the moon. The moon lives inside of us, and that's how it relates to daylight versus nighttime. What's inside of us is dark, right? It doesn't.
Right.
It's not
It's not
illuminated.
seen. Yeah.
It's not seen, yeah. And so the moon represents our mood, our emotions, and what things that we don't even see ourselves are like
Gotcha.
hidden within us. And again, same thing. If another planet is coming in there conjunct the moon, it's going to flavor our emotions. Those things of ourselves. Yeah.
Okay. So if the moon is conjunct one of your natal planets, it's intensifying your emotion connected to that planet and its placement and yada yada. If the
Yes.
sun is conjunct that natal
Exactly.
placement, it's intensifying or highlighting what?
Your ego, and not ego in a bad way. We all have an ego. It's a good thing.
Right.
Who you are to the core of your being.
Okay.
If that woman had, instead of Pluto conjunct her moon, if she had Pluto conjunct her sun, she would just be,
She'd just be a
yeah,
Scorpio.
she'd just be a Scorpio. And,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Does it I know this is such a simple question and thus it's
Okay.
moot and invalid, but also if a sun is conjunct something, does that typically feel good? Like
I think it
if
depends what it
if
is.
it's a pleasurable planet, like Venus we tend to think feels good, but Pluto we think is terrible. So if your sun
Yeah.
is on Venus, do you typically enjoy that transit?
I would guess so.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, but again, it all depends on like what else is going on.
Yeah.
Because maybe Pluto is on that too right now, and now you're not going to enjoy it so much, or So there's
Yeah,
so many variables,
there are.
but yeah, and typically in traditional astrology, they had what's called the malefics and the benefics.
Mm,
And Venus was a benefic, meaning it was like a
pleasure.
good happy
Yay.
planet,
Yeah,
and Pluto is a malefic, meaning it's bad, it's evil, and modern astrologers don't really prescribe to those ideas so much.
right.
Yes, Pluto can be wretched. Absolutely. I'm not here to deny that, but there is so much beauty and depth and worth in what Pluto provides for us. And if we were just to write it off as that's evil, it's just so not accurate.
Right.
There's beauty in Pluto. A lot of
Death is a part of life.
it is.
It is. I hate to say.
Sorry,
Yeah.
guys. We'll talk a lot more about that during
Listen,
Scorpios.
there you go. There you go. And that's next, right?
That's next.
Libra, Scorpio, Sag. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh man, because it was while you were talking about the transits, you said during Libra season, Venus is going to go into Scorpio and then it's going to go into Sag, and I'm like, oh, it's coming for my Saturn.
Yeah.
It's coming for it. Hopefully that feels good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I want it to feel good. I cannot shake it.
Look at that.
It
Astrology
just
works.
I just wanted to feel good, people. Oh, that's
Yeah.
so funny.
Yeah.
All right. We're just going to carry that with me. It's not going anywhere.
That's who you're meant to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for that reminder.
Mm-hmm,
I
mm-hmm.
don't need to try and change it.
Exactly.
Okay, so we did plug for Ralph because we have to. This is airing just 4 days before Astro Bash, so anybody
Yeah.
listening to it probably will not be buying a ticket.
Probably.
Do you know if there's going to be live streaming or not, or
There will
recordings or
not
not?
there will not be live streaming. We will likely sell recordings after the fact.
Okay,
We just made the decision. I'm almost nervous to say this in case the decision gets changed.
sure.
So just
Preliminary
don't
pencil.
yell. Yeah, don't yell at me if you go on the website and you find this not to be true. But we made the decision to put out day passes. So if
Okay,
somebody lives nearby, if they live in San Diego, Palm Springs, something like that, and they just want to come out for the day to perhaps see Stephen Forrest or Amy.
or Amy. I am stoked about this presentation.
Yeah, me too. I
I've
can't
been
wait.
learning so much, and I'm stoked about it. It's going to be, I'm proud of it already.
Yay.
So, let me ask you another question about Astro Bash.
Mm-hmm.
Are we raffling? Again, you may not know the answer to this. Are we raffling recordings? Do
We
you know
are.
yet?
We are gonna have a raffle for a recording. Um, so yeah.
So,
It,
if you're listening to this, I will add a link that will connect you to the online auction raffle thing because you might be able to win the recordings for much less than just buying them.
Absolutely. Yes. Or, you can bid on a reading from,
Yes.
not every astrologer there will be offering that. But a lot will. Ralph McIntyre, who Amy was talking about, he's going to be auctioning off a reading with, not, yeah, auctioning off. That's correct.
Yeah.
A reading with him and also some of his absolutely fantastic astrocartography charts.
Mm.
So, he's going to offer several of those. So yeah, yeah, I'm going to be offering 1 year free of the Moon Journal.
Yay!
Yay.
People should bid on that. They should. I
Yeah.
would. I don't remember. I already forgot the thing that I got a text message about. Was it yesterday? I already forgot, but it was helpful. It
I'm
was
glad
helpful
it was
to think
helpful.
about.
It was a quarter moon. Yesterday was a quarter moon.
Oh, I do remember.
Okay, good.
And because we've gone long, I will not talk about why it was helpful while we're recording, but I remember and it was helpful.
Yay. So glad.
Join the
So
Moon
glad.
Journal.
Yeah. And
Okay,
what are
loves.
you auctioning off?
I'm auctioning off a reading. But people listening to the podcast are probably less. Yay, it's a reading. We'll see.
Of course they want a reading from you.
We'll see. I'm hoping
Okay.
sometimes on auctions people pay more than the asking price. Sometimes, so you just never know.
You don't know.
Yeah. Um Okay, well, thank you for being here and being our guide to the lovely Libra.
Yeah. Lovely Libra. Thank you for having me. It
Yes,
was a lovely discussion indeed.
it was. And I'm really looking forward to getting into the depth. When we come back from Astrobash, we're going to be on fire probably and
Mhm.
exhausted. And we'll
Oh,
have to talk about Scorpio.
yes. Oh
All
man.
right, loves. Thank you for being here. See you next time. Bye. Thank you for listening to the Living Out Love podcast. If this episode was helpful for you, there are 3 ways that you can share the love. You can send this episode to a family, friend, neighbor, leave me a rating and review on your favorite podcast platform, or comment and ask questions on YouTube. This season is meant to be interactive. Thanks again for your presence. I appreciate you being here. Talk to you next week, loves.